Welcome, everyone. My name is Mariana. I'm from the MeetGeek team, and I'll be hosting the session today together with our speakers. So we have Dan from MeetGeek, is the co-founder and CEO, together with Tiberiu, co-founder and CEO as well from Makeitfuture, which is our automation partner. They have lots of customers and they've been helping several teams better automate their workflows and become more efficient overall. So we thought they would be the perfect collaboration for this session. So today we'll be talking about meeting automation for productivity, more concretely by using MeetGeek and Make, but not only. We can get started with the agenda. So we'll be splitting this session into two parts. First one taken by Dan, more focus on how MeetGeek integrates with other tools, and how some of our tools can also provide quick solutions for some of the questions you've been sharing in the registration form. And then we will move to the more practical part of the session with Tiberiu talking and showcasing exactly how these automations come to life and how can anyone take the lead on creating their own workflows. By the end of the session, as always, we'll have enough time for the Q&A. So I ask you to please use the chat, not only to share your questions, but you can also upvote questions from other people that you see. And hopefully we'll have time to reply to all of you, okay? So I will now move to Dan. Please.
Thanks for the intro, Mariana. I hope you can hear me well. And it's lovely to have this webinar again. I think it's a very interesting topic and a very interesting direction where we're going. We basically started with meeting productivity, but we as a company are focusing a lot into this direction, and hopefully today's session will be very informative, and we'll try to answer as many questions as possible and try to answer with relevant information. I hope this will be a success. So basically, when we talk, and I will share my screen to show a few things later. But when we talk about integrations that are connected to meetings, we basically approach it from two different angles. Or if you want to put it in a different way, there are two categories. One are the integrations that on one side we have the native integrations in MeetGeek, and I will be talking about this part a bit, and then what can be achieved via tools like Make. So let me share a bit of the screen here. Okay. So in MeetGeek we have a few bunch of native integrations, mostly popular Office tools. Like you can see on the screen, like HubSpot, ClickUp, Slack, Asana. So it mostly goes into CRMs, project management tools, or task management tools, or even, let's say, knowledge or documentation tools like Notion and some others. And in general, we have here, what's possible with the native integrations is usually the happy flows or the, let's say, popular use cases, right? So there are two options, of course. Once you connect an integration, you can manually share information from meetings to these tools, or you can do it automatically as well. So I will talk more about the automatic approach, because manual approach is usually it's something that you can control from the meeting. For those of you that are familiar, you know that if you go here to share meeting, you already have these tools here. If you connect them, and you can usually share the summary or the meeting notes and the highlights to the tool of choice. So that's one way to do it. but we like the automatic approach. And here, for example, I have some workflows that are created for different integrations. I'll just go briefly into them. For example, I have this one with HubSpot, which is usually given a meeting. Okay, you can choose to send it to HubSpot, and then you have some options to create deals, to update contacts, companies, and so on, right? And of course, you can also choose what to synchronize. You want to synchronize the customer calls, internal calls, and so on. So this is a pretty standard HubSpot workflow. The same thing can be achieved with other CRMs like Salesforce, Pipedrive, and others. Another example is with ClickUp. I've seen that there were some requests about ClickUp in the Q&A section. So again, here, given any highlight, you can a highlight that is called task. You can sync it to ClickUp, and then you can choose the workspace, the space, the folder, and so on. So again, pretty standard. The AI knows what to extract, and then it sends the information in ClickUp cards. The same way you can, for example, send to Slack, the same kind of things. Maybe it's a summary of a partnership call that you want to go into a dedicated Slack channel, right? So usually depending on your role, we have a few suggestions here that you can apply. And you can create the workflows and test them. It's very easy. The setup is super easy. I've opened in advance some examples of how these integrations look like. So, for example, in Slack, you will receive a message similar to this. So you have like a snippet of the summary, the title, the link to the meeting recording itself. So you have direct access if you want to deep dive. Very handy. Similarly, if you want to do a Google Drive integration and create a Google Doc file automatically from a meeting, and then of course you can edit it. So it's kind of like has the same basic information from the meeting. Let's take another one, HubSpot, which is quite popular. It updates the deal automatically and then inserts as a meeting entry inside the deal. Also, ClickUp is similar. So you basically have here the item that is created automatically, and then you have the link to the recording, the attendees, and so on. So yeah, also one for Notion. Similarly, it creates an entry in a given database, and then you have the details. So basically similar workflows, just tools are different. And of course, based on the role that you're having, you might be using some of these. And if you're not using some of these, we also have the native integrations with Make and Zapier. So Tiberiu is going to talk about Make, but Zapier is also similar. There are two platforms that connect to many other tools and that you can use to integrate with basically almost any Office tool. So here, instead of, I think I have an example here in the bottom. Basically, it's a generic workflow for meetings in Zapier. And then on Zapier, you can do a lot of customization and more complex logic. Basically, that's how we split things. So if you want to, if you need a more complex setup, you usually should use something like Make a Zapier, or if there's a tool that you can want to connect meetings with and it's not supported by us natively, that's another option. I would also want to mention the fact that we have a public API, which can be used if you're a more, let's say, technical person, or you have someone in the team that knows how to work with APIs. That's usually very handy. Even like for custom integrations, you can get an API key and do a lot of things. You will see here that we have a nice documentation on what is possible with the API. And by the way, what is in the API is also available, and you will see in the second part, also available in Make and Zapier as triggers and actions. So We are continuously evolving the API documentation. One of the key things that we're doing at MeetGeek, we are trying to open up as much as possible in terms of functionalities. So trying to open them as an API. We understand that, there are a lot of initiatives that can use this kind of API in a more flexible way rather than always using the UX or the UI of MeetGeek. So just to give some examples, you can upload recordings programmatically and even you can download recordings programmatically. So whatever gets analyzed in MeetGeek can be then pushed to a custom storage or a local storage that you might have if you want to store the recordings in another place. Also being able to query team meetings and do team level automations. You will see an example later on in this webinar of how to create team level automations, meaning that you can create a team and then those people share meetings automatically within that team. And then you can do an automation at that level. Instead of doing it individually just for you, you can do it at the team level, which makes it easier to deploy a workflow for the entire team. So, in a way, I would say that we offer a pretty good starting point, and we are also working on something new and as an evolution. So we will share some information after the webinar about this in the upcoming days. And yeah, I mean, this is a starting point. I think now, basically, Mariana, we can go to the next slide, right?
Yeah. I would share the next slide, but since you are already sharing, okay, you stopped. Great, I can share. There it is. Yeah. So as I was saying, we didn't thought about going through these tools as initially when we thought about the main purpose of the webinar. But as we got signups for the session and we start reading through your questions, some of you shared, we understood that there are things that you are hoping to do through automation or even workflows that because you don't expect them to happen on such a complex level, you can actually accomplish those things with other tools that MeetGeek has. There are both quite recent ones, and therefore we thought it would make sense to briefly showcase what they can do. And you will see that maybe they will already be the solution you were looking for. If not, and we go to the main purpose of this session, you will be able to rely on the automations and the workflows. So I will stop sharing so Dan can start sharing his screen again.
Yeah, so just very briefly, I mean, the Chrome recorder, I would start with that one. We recently launched, it used to be a companion app for the web app, the Chrome extension. It used to be something that you can use to control which meetings you wanted to join. We then decided to continue the development of the Chrome extension in the direction of something that you can use also to record what happens in the browser. So it's basically an alternative to our existing bot technology, which some of you might be familiar with. The nice thing about it is the fact, okay, on one hand, you can we now support multiple recording platforms, so not just Zoom, Google Meet, or Teams, but also platforms like GoToMeetings, Slack, Huddles, Discord, WhatsApp, and so on. WebEx, it's another popular one. So as long as you use a browser to join these meetings, you can record using the Chrome extension, and then it's going to be analyzed just as it would be a normal Zoom meeting where you have the bot. So that's one thing, and I think it's good to mention it because it expands a bit on the possibilities of what can get into the platform and then what can be used to automate further. And of course, besides the Chrome Recorder, I mentioned the Uploads API. So when I talked about the APIs, that's a very important one because you can also capture other platforms. For example, things like if you have recordings in other platforms and you want to synchronize them, send the recording to me. That's another complementary thing. And of course, the mobile apps, which I want to mention for in-person meetings. So we have the Android and iOS apps, which can be used for in-person meetings to basically record, discussions or talks and get them in the same place in your past meetings here. And they will be all together. And then on top of this, I think the second update is basically the chat with meetings or AI chat, which is now becoming very popular in terms of UX. So you will see now here a new button, which is called Chat with MeetGeek, or in the left menu here, you have an AI chat, or in the specific meeting, you have an AI chat button to chat with the individual meeting. And here is basically the interface with just a chat interface where you have some example prompts that you can use to ask questions from your meetings. It basically learns from your history of meetings, and then you can do a Q&A session. You can ask for drafting follow-up. So it's similar a bit to ChatGPT or this kind of work, but it has the context and memory of your last meetings. We think it's very useful, and this is connected to what we are going to follow up on, the possibility to add also other integrations here, so you can create very simple chat-based integrations in the future. But we will share more about this. We think it's going to be a big thing, and it's going to be something very helpful. We will share more about this in the upcoming days. And I think with this, I will stop here, and let's let Tiberiu show you what's possible with Make It Zapier.
Thank you, Dan. Let's move to the second part. Hi, Tiberiu. Thank you again for joining.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Hi, everyone, and thanks a lot for the invitation. I'm Tiberiu. I'm the co-founder of Makeitfuture. I added this slide just to make the point that automation is easy. Okay, so I started doing automation in 2017 in my previous business called Blue Coffee, which is still active today, 99% run by automation. Okay, we're just roasting coffee, packaging, shipping, and all the marketing, all the process, everything's run by some Make automations. So if me and Betu were able to do that, I think everybody can apply automation inside their business, and I think it's a very valuable thing to optimize the cost and optimize the business. Okay. Can you go to the next slide? So who we are, after doing these automations in Blue Coffee in 2019, we decided to really start a company around automation. So we started doing some freelancing, but then in 2020, during the pandemics, we really started to create a agency that does automation. And then 2 years ago, we added to that a lot of AI and AI agents. So we are based in Romania. We are probably the biggest Make agency probably globally, but for sure in Europe. And we generally work with customers all over Europe and some in US, Canada. As you can see on the slide, we've been working with a lot of different platforms. So we use Make, sometimes we use Zapier, sometimes we use an A10 as well. We work a lot with Airtable, HubSpot, MeetGeek, and a lot of SaaS platforms as most of the businesses today. Okay. Can we go to the next slide? So maybe a few things around Make and Zapier. We use both as well as an A10, right? And there are different use cases that work better in one or another, but overall you can do your automation in the platform that you prefer. The platform, based on my preference, that's Make, because the interface is much easier to use. It's a little bit more visual in the way you can create different routes and in the way you process the data. But at the end of the day, you can use whichever platform suits you best. The today demonstration will be on Make, but if anybody needs support to do something similar in Zapier or in NA10, let us know and we can prepare those, help you with those templates. Okay. So I will share my screen and start with the team workflows. 1 second.
So while you share your screen, just a quick note, because we didn't have the time to go through all the sort of workflows we could create. Of course, we decided to focus on those who were more requested in the sign-up forms, and also the ones that one of those, of course, for a more specific team, but the ones that Tiberiu will now cover, they are broader in the sense of being helpful to several teams, despite of your specific role.
Okay, so the first use case here, it's a team management meeting verification where we have an AI agent that's verifying compliance for that meeting, right? I'm using here in this example the list meetings because I just wanted to have access to one of the meetings that I will analyze, but this can be replaced by a webhook watcher or a highlight or meeting watcher, and then that can process that meeting automatically. Okay, so in this case, I'm getting one meeting. I will get the meeting details, and then I will get also all the transcripts for that meeting. I'm aggregating all the text together because I want to pass it to ChatGPT to OpenAI for analysis. Inside OpenAI, I have a prompt that will analyze these meeting details for like a compliance guard, right? And you can customize the prompt as much as you want based on your preference, right? And I'm using this as an example, but you can think about that all the meetings that you have inside your company for all your team members, you can get those over API and you can do whichever analysis you want to do on that and synchronize the data towards getting a notification or uploading that to a CRM or sending that as a summary on a WhatsApp or Telegram or things like that, right? So in this case, I've created a prompt with ChatGPT, I think, and I just said, okay, if you notice in this meeting any kind of like swearing or aggressive tone or anything like that, analyze the meeting, analyze the severity of it, create an explanation, and probably the most important part here is report it or return the information as a JSON. So then we have a JSON that's an overall compliance, if it's compliant or not. We have a summary, and then we have the different incidents identified into that meeting. And then we pass all the meeting information. Okay, so by doing that, if I run the scenario, it will automatically verify that meeting. So if we look at the details, okay, I have the different meetings here, but I just need one ID. So I'm getting this meeting that I'm analyzing. And then this module here, list transcripts, will give you all the different sentences that the different speakers have. And then I'm aggregating everything together with the speaker, transcript, and timestamp. And I'm passing that information and I'm getting the result from Make, where it says, hey, this one is compliant. And it just gives you a summary of that. And then I'm not passing that to Slack because I have a filter here that's looking for non-compliant. If it's compliant, I'm not interested to pass that information. If it's non-compliant, then I would get a message on Slack, and inside Slack, I have the different titles, host, meeting issues, summary, and instance, right? And hypothetically, you could put there the meeting link or any other information that you extract from the meeting. Okay, I hope this is useful for some of you in thinking about different way of how you could process meetings from your team. Then we have another example, more focused around project management. Here we use a bit more AI. to try to identify as well from inside the meeting, we're looking at, okay, are there any tasks that resulted out of this meeting, right? Some people might have, some of the members inside the meeting have some things to do for some due dates and so on. And then we want to understand, okay, how is this meeting related to some of the projects that we have inside the company? And then try to identify where is the right project and the right folder to sync that meeting to. So then we have, again, we're getting the meetings, we're aggregating all the text from the meeting for analysis. And then we have another prompt for an AI to analyze the meeting. As well here, very important, we are passing as well the participant emails, right, from the meeting, because we want also the AI to try to understand, okay, if there's a task, who that task need to be assigned to, and what is the email address of that task. This will not work 100% of the time, because sometimes you might have some members that join multiple people from the same computer or same conference room. So then you don't know exactly, but it will do a guess, right? And then inside my decision making on the identifying the task owner, I do have a fallback to go to the meeting host, right? So if I cannot identify an email, I would just use the meeting host as the task owner, and then they will reassign that to a different owner. So in case of ClickUp, there is an endpoint to list members, right? So here, if I go for the ClickUp of my organization inside members, I can get all the members and I can get all the email addresses of those members. And then I have here just a simple mapping where I'm getting out of those members, I'm getting the ID of ClickUp for the user email that was identified by the AI. And in case it's, and then I also do that for the host ID, just to have both of those. Let's say you want to do this for a different project management software, and that project management software doesn't have a list members for your ClickUp. Then you can use also like a simple switch, right? You put few inside this module, just put the different email addresses, and then you put the IDs of that system inside. And then you can use this as your mapping reference for creating the tasks. And then you have a fallback in case, yeah, I cannot identify, just put this on an assistant or something, and then they will reassign the task to the right person. So that's the first part in identifying the task, identifying the owner. And then we go into, okay, where do we save that? So for saving that, we're in case of a project management ClickUp, we get all the folders for the project, we aggregate that as text, and then we ask the AI, in this case, to try to identify based on the title of the meeting, to try to identify which folder should be selected for that. In this case, again, we are also passing the folder IDs to the AI, because that will be the ID that we create the task to. Very similar, we do it for the list. Again, we're selecting the list. And we're asking always to return these IDs. If that ID is missing, for example, just select the first one, right? Because some of the projects, the list might not be named, or there might be some just one list, and we just use that. And then the final one, we just create a task where we assign the task based on the task name identified by AI. We add the content to it, and then we assign either the owner ID if that was identified. If not, we just assign it to the host. Because the host usually it's somebody from your company, and always it should always match to something, right? Because you're controlling those email addresses inside MeetGeek to be the same as the ones in your project management software. If not, you just put it in the switcher, whichever you want, and it will still work. Okay, so if we do a short test on this, give me just 1 second to get my ClickUp. Okay. Okay. I have a different meeting here, which is probably a short one or ongoing. Let me put a meeting ID here equals to do it. Okay, so now I have a meeting. It's the host name, one of my colleagues, Marius. I have a title from a project there. And then now the AI will come back with a list of tasks. So we have the different tasks from AI with who's the owner. And then step by step, the AI will identify the folder, the list, and create it there, right? So then if I go back now, if we go to ClickUp, you're going to see that in my test projects, I have a test project called Quick Trans, and the AI was able to then, okay, that's the one that where it needs to go, and here's the list of tasks with the estimated due date and an owner for those tasks. I hope that's useful. And now we go.
Just a quick comment. So more complex flow. I think the idea here is to showcase that. I mean, as opposed to what I shared at the beginning. So we have like simple predefined workflows that are native in MeetGeek, and with the capabilities of this kind of technology and with the help of people like Tiberiu, you can create more complex automations for the team. And I think that that's the main point here from this flow, but really,
Yes.
really great example.
Yeah, the limitation is just what we are imagining, right? I showed this flow this morning to my colleague Marius, who's a PM, right? And his first thing was like, okay, I want this scenario as well, but can you also send me a notification in Slack for this message? Can you also do this and that? And I'm like, yes, the story never ends. Everybody wants their own customization on it, but that's the nice part about having tools like Make to be able to customize it to your business process. Okay, and then our last example, by the way, we choose the examples that we're showcasing today based on the feedback that we got on the registration, right? And as we, in time, we'll have more and more templates and more use cases like this to show you. So then the last example I have here, this is more from a sales perspective. So we're looking at after one meeting again, we want to synchronize that data of the meeting towards a CRM, right? And we choose HubSpot, even though HubSpot there is a native integration, but we wanted to see, okay, enhance a bit that integration. So one of the things we're doing here in the first part, we're enriching the contact and the company information. So I created a Make agent here, and this Make agent here has some configuration to analyze the contact, right? So you will get the user will provide the enriched data for the provided email address. So you just need to enrich that address. And then it has the different tools and has an instruction to go use these tools, right? So we have one tool, search person in Apollo. So we use Apollo to get details about this person based on an email. We have search the web, and even search a company for like in this case for Romanian CUI for the official registration number, right? So with that, you could go to another platform like, I don't know, Terminate to get more official information about that company. The way the AI agent acts, you just give it the instructions, and the AI will decide, okay, which of these tools needs to use when, and it will come back with the definition of the answer as I want it, right? So you could add to this additional information like company revenue, like employee history of employment, and so on. Any information you can find hypothetically online, or you can find in Apollo or other platforms. For simplicity, I just added few things here. So I'll run this first just to give you an idea, okay, how this really works. So I get the meeting participants. I take one of the participants and pass it over to the AI. And now the agent will trigger the different other scenarios. If we go to the history of this, you can see, hey, this was triggered. And in this case was Marius. And for Marius, we have all the different details that we have from Apollo. And you can see, okay, head of projects, his LinkedIn profile, if you might want to use that maybe for some outreach automations and so on, all the different details. And that information is passed back to the agent. Similar, the agent might probably use the company searcher. So here we're using a web search with OpenAI to get a fast answer. So we can see in the history that OpenAI returned for the company. Where is it? Response. Whatever. Already aggregated here. So then we have Makeitfuture, and the CUI for Makeitfuture, it's 4, 5, whatever. So this was returned to the AI. And then if we go to the initial run, this AI response you will get here. Here's the JSON. Sometimes this is like a tip for everybody. The make agent does not respect only to return the answer in JSON. I know that's under development and they will improve that. So in order to make sure, hey, I always have a JSON and I have a proper JSON, I use a completion module from OpenAI, and I ask it to check and correct the JSON if there's an issue with it, and just return it and parse it as JSON. So then I have a result which is already parsed, and I can use it in my next steps. How are we with time, Mariana?
4 minutes ideally before we move to the Q&A.
Okay. So then once I have the data parsed, I'm going with that data and synchronize the data towards a contact, right? So I have the different fields connected here, the ones that I define like first name, last name, email, phone number, LinkedIn profile, whichever you want to connect to your company. I'm also searching for the company, and then if the company exists, I will update it. If the company does not exist, I will create a company, right? Create a deal. And then the last step here is let's do a follow-up check. I haven't set this up in the idea that we're going to set it together. So then I come here, I say, hey, I want to do, let's say we do with 4.0. And here I can say, hey, analyze the meeting and tell me and decide if I need to do a follow-up with my customer. Okay, so in order to do that, I will have to have the meeting information. So again, I'm missing here the MeetGeek transcripts. I'm mapping the same idea as on the previous meeting, and I need to aggregate that as a text. Okay, so this will be transcript. So then if I pass that transcript to the AI, this will analyze it and tell me, okay, do I need to do a follow-up or not? Let's say return as JSON. We put here JSON follow up true or false. And then task name. And with this, let's keep it simple. I'm saying, hey, export as, yes, you need to activate advanced mode and say, hey, I want a JSON object and parse that. And with that, then I can create a task inside. Where do I reference something? Again, the limitation of this is your imagination. You want to create a create a follow-up task. You might want to update the deal stage based on that discussion. Just add one module, say analyze this meeting, and then decide which of these stages is most appropriate for my deal. That will as well work very well, right? So then we can check the result of this, and you see, hey, yes, I need a true, clarify logical requirements and database. So I have this task, and then we can assign that to create a task inside. Okay, I need to expand the API. I will not do it now, but you get the point. I will connect that and share the JSONs of these templates with everyone, and feel free to modify it. And if you have questions, reach out to me and my team, and happy to support you with this.
Yeah, as a closing thought, I think like when speaking about integrations, even if we are talking about native integrations from MeetGeek or even the more complex ones that Tiberiu showed, it's very important, and we see this when we talk with customers and users. It's very important to understand what kind of flows do you already have in place, like what's the process that you want to implement, and that usually helps a lot in clarifying what kind of flows you want. Well, sometimes it's trial and error, and you might change the process depending on the automations, but it helps a lot to sit down at the table and really understand, like, how do you want to use HubSpot, or how do you want to use certain flows. It definitely helps a lot to speed it up. So I think, Mariana, now we can go ahead with the Q&A, right?
Yes. Thank you both. Let me share the screen again. And while I'll do that, I would also add on top of what you just said. But do you see my screen? You do. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, yes. I would just add on top of what Dan shared that for people like me that are not so technical or used to look into these sort of things, which sometimes may seem complex, is that they really are not, and it's completely up to us to spend some time just thinking about how we can save time and automate things. Because once we know the tool stack we use and how we can the process we can streamline for our day-to-day tasks, it's just go there, either rely on a template like the ones we will share. So yes, if you want to replicate any of these scenarios, you can simply apply these templates. Or if they don't fit your needs like 100%, you can very easily adjust those. I've done that. Anyone can do it. And if not, we can always go to amazing teams like Tiberius. But yeah, the idea is for this all to be very easy to accomplish. And this said, let me move to the Q&A part.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to test it, right? I mean, you can easily create a test account for most of the platforms out there, HubSpot or ClickUp or whichever, right? And you just use that test account, send data into it, check the result, And then once you're happy with that, connect it to your live systems.
Yep. Okay, so let's get started with the Q&A. We have a few questions here. Some were already replied by Dan in the Q&A chat, but let's see. Okay, Dan, you marked a question here as one to be answered live. Do you want to take this one about the Apple Calendar, even though it's not?
No, it was a mistake, sorry, but so the answer I will take the answer anyway. So because I've seen like multiple questions on different tools. So in terms of MeetGeek native integrations, we are a bit more selective in the sense of trying to select the popular tools. On the other side, with the things that Tiberiu showed, most of the platforms are integrated already into Make or into Zapier connectors. So you can even create simple workflows using Odoo or active pieces and so on. Again, we also have the API. So if you're technical, you can use that API from, I think is basically active pieces probably should support API calls. So you can use our public API. And of course, like we are going to, with the upcoming release of Chat with Tools, that's what we are basically working on, is the ability to add much more integrations, much more faster. So some of these might be on the list, including Apple Calendar and others. So, but we will share like more updates on this. For the moment, for example, Apple Calendar is something that you can achieve using the other connectors, not natively in MeetGeek.
Thank you. Another question here from Jeff. So Jeff asks if he can use other AI models. He says he has the subscriptions to Claude and Gemini. So is there options to integrate with OpenRouter to use any AI? I think Tiberiu, if you want to take this one.
So from a Make perspective, yes, you can use whichever AI you prefer, right? So there are a lot of, I don't know, there are probably 30, 50 different AI tools inside Make, maybe probably even more. The Make AI agent has a list of AI that it supports. So the agent supports Anthropic, OpenAI, I think probably some provider of DeepSeek, probably Mistral. I'm not sure. We can check that documentation. But then with the different modules, you just need to decide, okay, which is the AI you want to analyze the information with, and you can select have your choice. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, TB. I see that there are several questions around different tools. So people are basically asking if they can also use those. And please correct me if I'm wrong. But if you are asking, like, if you use Make and you want to use those tools as part of the integrations, the workflows, as long as they are available, I mean, integrated with Make, the answer should be yes, correct?
So if they are integrated with Make, it's easy. They just have a module. Even if they are not integrated with Make, then they might have an API. So if they have an API, you can do it, right? So I see there's a question for Instantly. Instantly has an API, so yes, you can do that. I see a question as well around Odoo. You can do that as well with Odoo. You just need to, on Odoo side, it depends if you're on the self-hosted version or on cloud. The cloud one, I think, depends on the plan you have an API or not. On the hosted one, you can install an REST API and you can run it. I see there's a question from Odi for an integration with ChatGPT. I'm not sure if he's referring to Make maybe something native, but I'm not. I don't really know.
I mean, in Make, yes, you showed this. That I mean, it's OpenAI, maybe not ChatGPT, but yeah.
If you're referring to I don't know, to an custom GPT that might go towards your meetings and have a conversation around the data inside your meeting, that's something you could achieve as well with Make, right? You could create a chat, a custom GPT that will trigger some make.com webhooks to get some meeting details, and then you use AI to search within that meetings or get answer questions from those meetings. There's also a question around BoostSpace. BoostSpace has a very similar engine with Make. We haven't discussed about that then, but I think we can publish the apps as well on BoostSpace. It will be, yeah, we would just have to publish it. I don't think that's a problem. I see a question about the detailed prompt and the JSON. We will share the blueprints of all the 3 scenarios, so you will get that on, I suppose, on an email, Mariana?
Yeah, everyone will get a follow-up email. So the automations you've just seen, we will share those with you. And I was trying to see if there are any other questions that were not addressed yet, but I don't think so.
There's a question from Rolf, I think for you, Tiberiu. It's like if you can offer support.
Yes,
happy setting these up.
Yes, happy to set anyone up with this. You will feel free to reach us either on LinkedIn, either on my email. It's kind of out there, and as well on our website. There's a contact, and you will get in touch with us. We have a meeting, and then we discuss your process. As Dan said, at some point, it's very, very important to really sit down for a moment, define really good the process that we want to take, and then we will customize that process for you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. I would say we are done with the Q&A part, which takes me to our last slide, right on time before we finish the session. And so basically, besides what we just shared, that you will have the templates sent by email, and because we are partners of Make, we will also share a link in the email that will give you 2 months of the Pro plan for free with Make. And this is valid for either free users, current free users, or new users of Make. So yeah, it will be a link. It will send you straight to it, and we'll be sharing everything by email. If there are not other questions, we would wrap up the session here. But please feel free to engage not only with us from MeetGeek, but also with Tiberiu's team from Makeitfuture. We are in touch very often, as of course we are partners. And so if things are more related to meetings specifically or not, you can reach out to our team. And if you are looking for real automation experts, Tiberiu's team is there to work with you. And that's it. If there are any questions that were not addressed during this session, please feel free to share on the website chat or anything that you'd like to. And yeah, thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, Dan and Tiberiu, again. And have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mariana,
Thanks for the
for
invitation.
organizing.
Thank you. Thanks, Mariana.